All right, kid. That's right. It is episode 6, as we were saying before you came on. And just like that, it's episode 6. Hi, I'm James Lott Jr. I'm here with my partner, all things Sex and the City adjacent, Miss Emily May. Hello, Miss Emily.
Hi.
Hi, we're here. Now, we have to explain, Emily, before I even get into all the announcement stuff, why you have makeup. It's all your nails are very cute. You're pink today, so you got to tell me why you're pink.
I'm very pink because literally a few minutes before I finished a Barbie photo shoot and I didn't have time to change. So you're getting a little pink glam.
That is hilarious. Okay, so first of all, we support the writer's strike. We support SAG Aftershow, all that. So I want to find out from you. So what is happening in terms of the Barbie opening? I mean, like for you, like what's happening?
It's just like there's no like press interviews, and stuff. Well, I'm covering one event tomorrow and then another event Saturday, but like there's no interviews, no interviews from talent, like anyone like SAG-AFTRA members. So that's a little like a bummer, but we still get to celebrate the opening of the movie and do a bunch of fun like influencer activations, things like that.
So you get a chance to see the movie.
So I'm going to see the movie tomorrow. I have a premiere event tomorrow, and then I have another event on Saturday. So
okay. So that part's kind of cool. You get to see it. As part of your job, you get to see it. That's kind of fun. So okay, I'll give you that. One.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Okay.
So that's why I'm a little glossy. I'm a little sweaty because it was outside and we were sweating a lot.
wait. The photo shoot was outside.
Because we had to do a bathing suit.
We can't do a faux outside inside.
No, the natural glow. We needed the natural glow. I'm not that fancy.
Sorry. So this ain't Sex and the City for real. Yeah, that's so. Yeah, you're so funny. I love it. Well, I'm glad you didn't melt, and she is here to talk about episode 6 of And Just Like That we always do. And we got some moments. I thought of you, of course. Some other moments were kind of weird. This episode kind of weird, but the one thing I'm noticing is the writing is getting more and more like Sex and the City on many levels. But before we do that, I just want you to know that we are here on Thursdays or other days. We're going to talk actually after this because I know you have some stuff coming up. But we'll be here. We're going to cover the whole season. Don't worry, we're going to cover the whole season. But normally we are here on Thursday nights here live at 5 p.m. Pacific. 7 Central and 8 Eastern, which I guess I said correctly. So you can watch our previous episodes, and our numbers are going up this season. So thank you for that. I'm glad you're enjoying us. We'll take it. And we're glad you're here with us live here in the chat. You can say whatever you want to us, talk to us like you did last week, the week before. We love the interaction. And we're going to talk about it. So, okay. I said we support the writers' strike, blah, blah. Okay. So let's get to this. Let's get to the show. So overall, Miss Emily, I always ask you this. Overall, what'd you think?
Okay, this was my favorite. I'm gonna say it. I think this is my favorite episode so far this season.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, it felt very much Sex and the City. I finally got some more Steve and Miranda. Yes. This one actually, I'm gonna say it, and I don't know if you agree, but this one actually made me cry.
Oh, I did.
I don't know if that was because the things going on. I'm like, oh man, this is like, but it definitely hit some heartstrings for sure.
Yes,
I think it's one of my favorite episodes so far. I would say, like, I think this one just hit a different nerve for me.
So for me, it was a mixed episode. I really enjoyed last week's. We both enjoyed it, but I really enjoyed last week's. But this one, I know I agree with you. The writing is feeling Sex and the City. And there were so many references to the past. We're going to go through them to the actual original show that I loved that part. Because the Aiden thing, the email, all that, we're going to talk. I mean, that's all part of like references. Yeah. They mentioned Trey. I mean, there's so much to talk about. So I agree with you, Emily. It was very, but for me, I had some problems with the episode. Okay. But I did cry at Steve Miranda. I did cry that part.
Oh yeah.
And actually at the end, and at the end of Carrie's speech, reading her book, and Chase, I got a little teary on that one too. But yeah, so we'll get into it. So I want to start with Steve Miranda.
Okay.
I know we'll start on that note because that to me was something I thought of you completely. Thanks for the hearts in the chat room. Thank you. I thought of you completely, and we needed part of this. We needed what Steve said. And I kept saying,
it was everything we were feeling.
Yes, he did. And when he said, I'm getting all excited. So firstly, there's a dinner with the four the women, and they finally bring up homegirl Naya is divorcing her husband from being friends. And I kept saying, and then Charlotte goes, I haven't spoken to Trey because he doesn't want to. Ooh, Trey went off. And then they bring up, for her, it's bring up Aiden, and she goes, I don't know about that. But
Trey and Charlotte's breakup was very amicable.
Oh yeah, it was just
it was very amicable. But he was embarrassed. I feel like he was more embarrassed than anything. He liked the idea of Charlotte as a wife, but didn't really. Obviously, there were some sexual things going on that they couldn't really work through.
Couldn't work through. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So but I feel
that's right. No, you're right. Oh my God, you just brought it to me. Because
remember they did the photo shoot for the magazine. He showed up. That was the last thing he did for her.
No, he did one more thing. He did one more thing. Well, he did one more thing. After he moved out, you just reminded me. See, Emily is correct. Emily May is correct because it was Bunny who had a problem. I miss Bunny. Bunny was hilarious. His mother. I miss her. I don't know if she's alive or anything. I have no idea. It was years ago. But she was hilarious. But you're right. He did a photo shoot. She suffered a photo shoot for Home and Gardens or whatever to do that. But remember the telegram when Bunny was I'm taking the house, and he the famous scene where it's he says, Charlotte gets the house, stop. Blah, 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 stop. Mother, stop. That's a favorite. You're right. I forgot about that, Emily.
Yeah. See, so the thing is, I would say that's pretty amicable. Even though you're not talking, that's hey, he still did it because he still loved her in some way. Respected her. But the whole thing, it was interesting how they addressed all the different exes at this dinner table. And because we wondered, how is he, how did this come up? How did the whole Aiden thing come up?
Yes.
And it was interesting the way that, that Carrie
she
never
Googled him.
I know. Googled him or Facebook stalked.
Or whatever, right. Yeah, whatever, yes. Because he said he's divorced 5 years ago, and that he sold the business to West Elm. You guys know what West Elm is. West Elm's very nice furniture and stuff. That's a real place. But I forgot he said, where does he live? I forgot where he lives. New Jersey?
Virginia?
Virginia. You're right, Virginia. Which is not far from New York. Virginia, that's right, Virginia. So, she goes to I'm she looked him up. And so, but then it went straight to Miranda and Steve. I was waiting for somebody to say something. Do you think you and Steve be friends? Otherwise, we're not even there. And again, it's Miranda's getting on my nerves. So it's oh my God, you're still stuck in this. I can't say nothing. And blah, blah, blah.
That conversation, it made me so mad at Miranda because first of all, I'm so glad Carrie brought up the fact that Steve said months ago, which actually I think it was more than months ago. I think it was a year ago.
Yeah.
Of hey, I'm never going to take this ring off because Steve is one of the most dedicated men on this show. He has gone through so much. He obviously had his own indiscretions. They worked through them.
Right.
The fact that he was still sticking by Miranda's side during all of this. And he still wants to help, but he's so hurt, obviously, and angry. He can't put it into words. And then she's just ignoring him and ignoring the situation that they're in. So Carrie finally brought that situation up. And then I hate how Miranda made it as if it's her fault still. She's like, oh, well, I did it. So it's going to be my fault. I'm yeah, it is your fault because you're not addressing it. You're not bringing it up. It made me so mad. I'm still mad.
Apparently in chat, Bunny is the actress who plays Bunny is still with us. She's 93.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still acting, but I'd love to see her make an appearance and just shake up, Charlotte's world for a second. That actress was so good. Oh my gosh, she's so good. I love Bunny. Anyways, that's the one. Thank you for asking. Hi, you guys in the chat room. Thanks for the likes. Okay. So finally gets that addressed. They haven't talked. So, and she's right. She can't, because earlier, we might as well mention this at the almost kind of same time, it kind of falls together. her and Che. That actually made me laugh. It was very Sex and the City. I was busting her in bed. Good night, good night. Like, hi, I don't even know. It's just like, what are you doing? I could sound like those cameos were hilarious. She was like, well, they have to know that I'm all fucked up. I was like, this is for them. And kind of funny. Miranda's so self-centered right now. It's like, so I get sad and sullen the shame, but they get the real. I'm like, wow. Like she said, I can't just my time of grief isn't, so I'm like, man, Miranda, you're being so self-centered to me. Self-centered.
Well, she's being so self-centered, and she's acting as if her problems are the biggest problems in the whole world and are the only problems that matter. She doesn't care about Steve. She kind of cares about her child. But even then, Steve obviously like hit a really tough nerve with her. And I feel like her emotions have been on the surface this whole time. She hasn't really addressed it. And obviously she has a breakdown because she finally hears things that she has needed to hear for a really long time. And then this whole thing with Che and the fact that obviously they are going through some career crisis, and Miranda just disregards it because it's not her problem. And looking back, I've been watching some clips and kind of looking back at some of the series, and she's done this. She's disregarded some like Carrie's feelings or Carrie's situations or things like that throughout. But now it's like way worse. So I don't know. Yeah.
It's all about her right now. And I think, and I was like, yeah, give her a chance. Her life just blew up a second ago. Like, give her a second.
Let her breathe. Let them breathe. Yeah.
Like, what do you do all day? And I was like, wow, that sounds judgy. It's like, I just wonder, like, Miranda is judgy. That's what she does. I mean, and sometimes she's right.
Always been judgy. But now, the thing is, she's judging everyone else because she's too afraid to look inward. So she's putting all of that out onto everyone else.
I agree.
That's what's happening.
I agree. So, her and Steve, he comes home, and it was almost like Aiden. Basically, broke my heart when he said, "You didn't want this house because this house is mine." And when he started to just voice cracked, and he was like, I remember he built the inside of the house. Remember?
Yes, he redid the floors. He built the kitchen.
Yes.
He painted.
He did.
Made that. The thing is, you could buy a house and you could be on the mortgage, but it doesn't make it a home.
Okay. I agree.
And he made it a home.
He did. Because like he said, you didn't want to move to Brooklyn. You don't want me, and you didn't want Brady. I was like,
oh yeah.
Oh my God! It's like they went back and because it's all, folks. It's all
full on crying,
folks.
I was full on crying. I was
me
like,
too, me too. No, me too. I start tears like, I'm like, oh my God, am I crying? Like I'm totally crying.
What? But how do you feel about the fact that Steve went back like and quickly apologized?
I didn't like that part.
He went back and just started like, and this is what he does is because he wants so much of this to work that he's willing to just like fall on his knees and say, okay, whatever you do, like don't leave. And the fact that they had this very sweet, tender moment that he still wants to take care of her, still wants to like make sure she's okay. There's like a respect there because she is still the mother of his child. And there is that mutual respect. Like you're never going to not have that connection. And I think there is still a deep love there. I think Steve still has this deep love, but there's also all of that anger and baggage and all of these broken promises and all of these broken, just broken pieces everywhere. And Miranda just doesn't want to cop to them. And I know it's a mutual, it goes both ways, right? Steve has his issues. He seems to be somewhat dealing with it, at least in therapy, but Miranda's not facing them. Miranda's not facing these demons. And it obviously came to this point where it boiled over and they finally had to say things to each other. But she finally cried. She finally had some emotion because in therapy she wasn't. She was talking to her girlfriends. She was talking to Carrie, saying all these issues like my life's falling apart. But it was all on the surface. And here she's finally crying because she realizes that she messed up.
Steve's a lover, not a fighter. Steve is a lover. That's what he is. He's always been that way. And I think also, though, I think Steve has always admired Miranda on some level and looked up to her a little bit because she's this lawyer and she's kind of whatever. But he was the one who broke her down, so to speak. But when he brought back that history, when he said, I was like, that's all on camera. That's all on tape. We know, we followed it. We followed the whole journey. Remember, she almost didn't have a baby. She didn't want to tell Steve. The whole thing, it was a whole thing. And oh my God, though, I was thinking like, when she said she was pregnant and Charlotte found out, oh my God.
Oh my God. I remember that.
Oh, because she couldn't get pregnant because I don't want to tell you this, but I'm pregnant. And I have a lazy ovary where it was. There was the whole thing. And Charlotte was trying to be happy for her. And it was such a crap. But we remember all of that. We saw the whole thing. So when they said that, was like a knife to the heart. It was like, yes, we've been here with you through all this. And Miranda was always the one who had problems. It was mostly Miranda. Steve just wanted to love her, and that was it. And she always had problems. I remember she didn't want to go to Brooklyn. She didn't want to, I remember all that stuff. We watched it. She didn't all that stuff.
We watched it, but and a lot. I remember watching those episodes and thinking, oh, Miranda's like making a lot of like concessions. Like, okay, she's moving to Brooklyn. She's doing this. She's doing that. But I thought she really wanted it.
I thought she did too.
I thought like she finally found her. To make a Friends reference, she found her lobster, right? We thought Steve was her lobster because like she finally found someone that was willing to deal with all of the emotional baggage, deal with all her little her quirks and who she is. And it was a little, I guess it's just the thing is it seems like she didn't want to put in the work as much as Steve did.
No, she didn't. And so the problem I have,
tell me.
All I have is, okay, it's very Sex and the City. So that's what I'm saying. It's very Sex and the City. Just sometimes Sex and the City did a little better back in the day. But sometimes Sex and the City focuses heavily on stylistically style stuff, how shots are made and things like that, which is very important too. We love it. In some cases, it really works. I felt like even her breakup with Che was too quick. I feel like they wanted, because when they showed Steve holding Miranda in bed, then later they show Che holding Miranda.
Yeah.
Miranda says, wow, 2 breakups in one day. I'm really bad at 1,000. I was like, it's not, to me, it's like we got so invested. I got invested in you and Che. I was invested in you and Steve. And they almost made a little too light of it for me. I was just kind of like, I just finished crying from what Steve just said. And now it's just like, Steve, you're sleeping with somebody. Is this a condom? Is this a condom? Is this a condom?
Well, first of all, pick up your shit. First of all, pick up your stuff. That's like the first thing you do. If you don't want someone to find it, come on.
That was only a little too convenient for me. So I don't know. That part bugged me a little bit. I was like,
and it was weird that it like jumped to the next breakup. Like it did feel like, and I feel like Che would have been like, hey, give me some space.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that they were like, hey, I wanted to talk about being friends. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, that was such a messy relationship to begin with. And I don't know. I think Miranda needs to find herself at this point. I feel like she's lost so much of herself and the relationships that she's had that she needs to focus on that, it seems like. But I don't know. Maybe there is some, I don't know. I have this glimmer of hope that there might be something, a glimmer with Steve. I don't know.
I mean, I really don't know either, but it looks like to me, they're not breaking. I guess they're going to figure it out because it's in her name, but he says he's not leaving. So, yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. So, what they're going to do. I don't know what that means. So, I guess we'll find out with that one. So that's that storyline. We got that going on. Another storyline that just kind of bugged me a little bit. It didn't seem realistic to me at all, but it's very Sex and the City. Is Lily losing her virginity?
How old is Lily?
As I'm saying, I'm assuming she's 16 or 17.
Because Lily's the oldest one.
Yeah, she's older than Rose.
I was trying to calculate how old.
Because she came on, because in the first movie, she was older than a toddler. Then in the series, she was a baby, they just adopted her. So the series ended in 2006, 2007? So what's the math? She'd be like 16 or 17. But this whole thing about being sex positive, I'm like, I don't know if I mean, that just seemed a little weird. And Charlotte's in the snow looking for condoms. That's very Sex and the City, though, when they go whimsical.
Very Sex and the City, but I'm surprised Charlotte wasn't as freaked out as she was.
Right.
Like, as she usually would. Like, I feel like she freaked out more for the clothes that were sold than her young daughter having sex.
Yeah, I agree. So that was a little weird for me.
That was weird. And like, I know that like I do have friends that have kids this age, and they are a lot more open about this these days. Like they're like, hey, like they're announcing things like, hey, I'm gonna go and do this. And so I think that is a pretty realistic portrayal of like parenting like these days. But I did feel like Charlotte would have been way more freaked out.
Yeah.
Harry, I feel like Harry would have
they didn't.
Yeah.
They played that down too. They're like, I don't want to know. I don't want to. I'm like, you don't want to know.
So I was like, first of all, parents would want to know.
They want to know. And I just thought it was kind of weird. So that's a little weird for me. So that's all about that storyline. There's nothing really, doing that. Now, the part that made us very Sex and the City also, again, to me, style over substance. They have a bomb cyclone that hits New York. And it's very snowy. We've all been there. If you live in New York, you've been there, so you know how it is. But it was kind of unrealistic that each of the ladies was out in the snow in these couture outfits, walking the streets, really. I'm like, that's so
You are bundled. You are soaking wet. You're bundled.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It is not fun. They would not be in these couture outfits.
No, it's not fun. Because LW, that whole storyline was too much for me. I'll get there myself. I don't need you to help me. Blah, 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 blah. And she takes her wig off, puts something. It just was too much for me. That part was too much. I was like, trust me, walking down the street against snow and wind is not the easiest thing to do in just regular clothes.
Yeah, no.
But I said that's why I say sometimes they go for style over substance. That kind of booked me a little bit. But LW gets her thing, whatever, blah blah. Okay, so what's the next one? Well, I guess Carrie's the big one. That's the big one that went down. Yeah, because Nia didn't have a story. She didn't have a story. LW's story was short. Oh yeah, basically this one. All right, so Carrie, which that one got me teary-eyed too a little bit. That was a good storyline. So there's so many references. We love Seema, first of all. She's very Samantha. When you think about it, that whole sequence. And the first, she's at the Apple store. Her computer dies. She's had it for 7 years. Remember the famous episode, Emily?
Yes. Myself. I know you're gonna call back to it.
I was like, yes, that is the best. That was Aiden. Remember, Aiden was the one who got her that little iBook or the iMac. iBook, it was iBook back then. It was the orange one or whatever, and she got mad. That's where Miranda's mother died, and Samantha finally cried. She could have an orgasm, and she got it the whole time. And she finally got that episode. Was my favorite one. It's a famous episode. My favorite song. It's called "My Mother Bore It Myself." So this was harkening back to Carrie has stayed with Apple products.
Yes. Well, and this was the first time that and the fact, so there was the whole computer throwback, and then the whole Aiden connection because Aiden gave the computer to Carrie.
Yes.
And I liked how she was so much more calm this time.
Mm-hmm.
Than the first freak out. And she needs to replace her technology a lot more than 8 years.
Well, that's what Homegirl says. She's like, I have the phone hasn't come out yet. That made me laugh.
Yeah. Can we talk about the beginning of the episode real quick about how relatable that was?
Yes. I was laughing.
I was laughing so hard because I've been on either side of those where
me too.
On both sides. And that girl did not read the book. She had no idea you're in a really bad situation. And Carrie was like, I want this to be over. And then everything falls over. Oh my God.
Did. That was hilarious.
I've been there
too. Oh, and I've been there too. Woo, because I've been there also. That was hilarious. So yes. So they only cracked. So, but also heard her window and the whole thing. But at the Apple Store, the part that was, it's very Sex and the City, another throwback, and anything in New York always, because they always say this, the Hamptons, kids. The Hamptons is a place people go to. There's like, so folks at home who don't know this, I mean, Emily knows already, but for you guys who don't know at home, there are several places people go to on the East Coast, especially from New York. It's either Hamptons,
Yeah.
Fire Island, a lot of gays go there, P-Town, Provincetown, Martha's Vineyard. There's places that people go.
Yeah.
The places that people go, that they go to. I used to go to Foxwood Casino in Connecticut.
I've only been invited to the Hamptons and Martha Vineyards once.
Oh, okay.
So,
have you gone?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Must be nice. I've never been. Must be nice.
It was nice. Yeah, no.
But so also places like this. Also, those are very iconic places people go on vacation all the time. And so they remember the Hamptons played a part.
Especially during the summer, though. It's more of a summer like getaway because it's so hot. You want to be by the water.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true. And in the original series, of course, this is when Charlotte was playing. She was younger. She got crabs. The whole thing was hilarious. Oh, that's hilarious. So anyway, so Seema, it was so funny. I want to ask you a question. It's just like, that's so funny. And they always, because that's the whole thing. Even I know this. It's all about, what do you call it? Housing, sharing when it comes to rentals or whatever. It's all about sharing, like who you share with, how many folks per house, the positioning in Hamptons, Southampton, whatever. So it's funny. She was like, will you share a house with me? That was so funny. I thought it was very Sex and the City. I thought she proposed to me somewhere nicer. And when I was like laughing, it was very sweet, very cute. Seema's her fun friend. I'm gonna tell you, she's not Samantha, folks. I was supposed to get attitude, but she's Samantha F. She's more of a fun friend. I like her. She's fun.
Yeah, I like her. She's fun, and I like how. Because it is a big deal when you're renting a house for the summer, because you don't want to rock. Like, I don't know if you've ever spent a weekend with a friend that you thought you would be like, oh, this is great, or even a long period of time, and you're like stuck with them, and you're like, oh man, this is really rough. I thought I would like it, and then you don't, and then you're stuck. So picking a friend, especially for months at a time, but this house seems big enough, like you.
Oh yeah.
But you have to pick the right friends for sure to do this.
I agree with that.
And it's also such a like an upper class thing to do, to be like, oh, let me pick my summer house. I was like, oh, again, not relatable at all for most people.
Not relatable. But it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. It's good. Fun to watch. So yeah, so they're gonna do that. So that was a whole cute sequence. A couple of sequences were really cute doing that. But she's asked to speak. I love her and her editor, publisher. She's hilarious. But Rachel Dratch shows up.
Yes.
Hilarious as that. And I've been in Emily May, I've been in a situation before where I reunited with somebody that I remember kind of, and they have a whole different memory of me that I don't remember from a long time ago. I've read across it a couple of times. I'm like, oh, and it's not a favorable one. They're like, well, James, you just cut me off or you stopped calling me. I'm like, I did. I'm like, back then I must have had a reason. I don't remember what it is now. So she had a whole thing. That girl was so funny. She was like, don't flake out on me like you did last time. And 27 dresses. That's so funny.
Does that worry you, though, that you're like, oh, goodness, did I cut someone off? Did I make someone mad like 15 years ago and they're going to come back?
Oh, yeah, I've had a few come back. So, yes, I've had a few in my life come back. So, yes, I know what that I started laughing because I can relate to that period. But Carrie's just like, hey, hold on. I changed my name to Carrie with the K because you can't be a white girl named Carrie. He's like, I was laughing so hard. But the whole thing of this widow con, I was like, oh, that's a real thing. I looked it up right now. It was a real thing. But so that comedian, the chick who was doing a comedy joke, she was funny. But it was funny. I never saw it coming that they were going to take the Shay storyline. Because I keep forgetting, Shay and Carrie actually are friends too.
And that's what we keep forgetting is that they were friends first because they had the whole podcast world and all of that kind of first.
Yes.
Before Miranda, right?
Right. Yeah, no, first.
That's why I was like, oh, we got to remember that Carrie and Shay were connected first.
Because Miranda met Shay at the funeral, smoking weed with Brady. That's how they met. And then she goes, and this is my boss. And she goes, oh, and it became Freddie, called her Rambo, and it was the whole thing. So it was a lot of fun. But they met at the funeral. That's it. So yeah, she was like, she knew Che first. So they were hanging out. So I was kind of cool. They were showing them a friendship. And it got her out. Now, mommy was to get out the house. I was laughing so hard. And then when it says, who? And she goes, Miranda. And then Sherry didn't say nothing. I was laughing because your silence says everything. I laughed so hard. I was like, oh my God. But I thought, what a clever way. And so when they were standing there in the wings, waiting for, and the chick was doing these jokes about being old and how he died and all that stuff. And then she asked her to write her a joke. Just give me a joke. Give me a joke. And the joke was kind of funny that Che gave him. But it was Carrie's speech or reading of the book or a portion of her book that Che started to relate to and starts to defrost. And I thought, I never saw that coming out. That was that was a great use of that, actually, by coming back to life. And I got a little teary-eyed.
Yeah.
I was like, that is actually very touching. And when Carrie and when the lady came up to her after, the other author was like, I just want to thank you for your book. It gave me a good cry. I was still like teary-eyed when she said to her, she goes, now let's go sell some books or whatever. But it was kind of like she was telling jokes to get through the pain.
Yeah. And
jokes can be funny and that kind of stuff. But in the end, you lose somebody. It's tough. It's very tough.
Yeah.
So, and my mom's going through it right now. So it was maybe that's why I was crying too, because my stepdad just passed, and she's going through it right now too. So it's like it was just that part was really, really very cool and very Sex and the City, where they can weave story together. And that's what led to her. That's what led to they going home and basically just saying, right now it's not working. I'm shocked. I'm shocked they broke them up. I thought, because it seemed like they always kind of fight and work through it.
Yeah.
I thought, but maybe that's Miranda's on her journey. That's the whole thing.
I mean, I think Miranda's just too complicated right now, and she just needs to figure out what she wants.
Yeah, I think so too.
And the fact that she was freaking out, in this episode, we didn't address it, but she was freaking out about not getting up to make. I'm assuming that's why she was worried about waking up and missing. It's 10 a.m. on a Sunday, and she's freaked out because she's not up to make pancakes and breakfast and coffee for Steve and and her son. So it's like she has to either move on in a different way, be single for a while, figure out what's going on, or make up, But I think I don't know. In my heart, I kind of want her and Steve to work it out, but I feel like they've been too mean to each other, and I don't know.
We saw the trailer. She's going on another date. She's going on a date apparently. So
yeah, she's going on a date. So it seems like she's officially moving on, and the fact that she wants to draft her own divorce papers,
Yes, but the part that we have to talk about is the Aiden email, which is a throwback. Remember when she first got it, she sent him an email and he didn't answer it. So she was like, "Did you get my email?" Whatever. I just hadn't read it yet. I read that. Oh my God, it was so funny. So I thought again, she wasn't going to send it. And it sat there, and then she says, and she wrote, "Hey, stranger." Then she says, and just like that, some things shouldn't be left in the past. I was like, oh my God. And she said it. You said it, Emily. She said it.
I know. She said it. She sent it. Yes. I'm so excited because I think next episode we're going to see Aiden.
If you haven't seen it, they showed the trailer, you guys. They don't show him. You hear his voice at the end of the trailer. But that's the whole point. He said,
he looks good.
He looks good.
I think it looks good.
Well, John Corbett's been around for a long time. He's always
looks good, just like Steve does. Then I'm down.
I'm down. I'm sure he worked out for this. But yeah, it's just kind of fun. I'm glad they were this. Like you said, I had some problems with the episode, but it was very Sex and the City. So I'm like, okay, maybe now they're settling into a groove, because the last couple episodes it felt like Sex and the City.
Yeah,
so
for sure. This one definitely, I feel like they're settling into their storylines a bit, and we're getting to the real juicy, past. I think there's going to be a lot more throwbacks in the next few episodes. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to move really fast because we only have about 6 more episodes.
That's it, kids. I know. Oh, I'm very excited. So that's your recap of Just Like That After Show. Season 2, episode 6, Bomb Cyclone. And those things are for real. And so it's a snow, so it's a type of snow wind thing. But well, thank you for being Emily May. Well, thank you for watching, Emily. So where are you going to post any of the Barbie stuff content or no? How's that going?
Yeah, I'll figure it out like as it all happens. But yeah,
that's our new lives, kids. That's our new lives.
Yeah, you can follow me on social media all over the place. There's a million platforms, but everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
Emily May Heller everywhere. So if I do post stuff, you will see it there.
Homegirl's right. There's like 10,000. There's Spoutable and Blue Sky and this one. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore, Emily. I don't know what's going on.
You'll find me somewhere.
That's why you say, I love it. And I guess our new world is now we shoot content and see what happens. That's what we're gonna do, folks. And we're gonna continue doing the show. I know there's been some debates like, should we even? I know some of my competitors are not doing the show. They're switching over to books and music. So like, we're not on the show. We're talking about it. So I think it's no problem with that. I have no problem with that. But I do support the strikers. I do support them. Everyone, be careful. We'll see you next week. Take care of yourselves. And thank you.